Hey, it's Avi from JustWriteMusic.com. Got a real downer for you today. We're going to be talking about mental illness. Specifically, my mental illness and the hand that it's played in a significant reduction of the amount of music that I write or could be writing. But also how I turned it all around. Fun stuff. Stick around to commiserate or feel better about yourself. You know what's well and truly awful? When your brain decides to make you feel terrible about the thing that you love doing most in the world. Why does it do that? Well, there could be lots of reasons. Some of them may be true to life, but most of the time they're BS. Before being medicated and seeking professional help, I had an immensely difficult time sitting down to write music. You know, just the thing I dedicated my life to and loved doing more than anything. Not a big deal. My mental illness created an inner minefield of self-loathing, insecurity, and anxiety. So I did what anxious people do best: avoid. I was kind of bewildered at how my musician friends were just able to write so effortlessly. I had that once too. I was recognizing that something was wrong. This is by far the hardest step to take. We can't go get help if we don't know anything is wrong, if we're like just in denial. I'm coming out swinging right now. This right here, this is everything. Every day shouldn't feel like a struggle. It shouldn't feel like you're underwater. It shouldn't be a burden to do the thing that you love. I felt like I lost part of myself when I realized just how difficult it was for me to sit and write at this time. And honestly, mental illness doesn't even have to be part of this to find yourself in this same exact situation. Mental illness just makes it way worse is all. Deciding what to do next is the next big decision you'll have to make. I understood that I probably had clinical depression and some type of anxiety disorder for about a year before I even decided to go and seek therapy. And that was ultimately my answer when I hit rock bottom. Therapy was the thing to try. It helped me work through a lot of the underlying causes of the pain that I was feeling. Therapy was also instrumental, in building coping skills and mechanisms. Now, all of this helped a ton and helped me make sense of what was happening and what I was feeling, which made me realize that sometimes therapy isn't enough. After years of therapy and a lot of hard work at self-improvement, some things were just still a big old struggle. The compulsive negative scripts and classic avoidance maneuvers still made sitting down to write way harder than it should have been. I'm still sitting on music from that time that I haven't finished, let alone all the music that I could have written in that time if I was a little bit healthier. So I had an understanding of what was going on. I kind of started to grasp the underlying causes of my pain, of my shame, all of that, but my emotional brain was still feeling it very, very acutely. I did literally all the things that any therapist will tell you to do. Exercise, journaling, creating routines, meditation, travel, hiking, seeing friends, trying new things, trying old things, reconnecting with old friends. I developed some great coping skills. I learned how to set boundaries for myself and protect myself, do some self-parenting, but the emotional well-being piece just wasn't coming. It feels like running on an emotional treadmill that just, leads nowhere. It's a treadmill, you just keep going. It becomes a negative feedback loop with I keep thinking about all the music that I could have been writing and or should have been writing, and it just becomes another tool for my brain to make me feel terrible about myself. Fun stuff. After a while, I started realizing that maybe there was something else going on that just behavioral therapy couldn't actually address. Maybe there was something chemical going on. It's fantastic when just behavioral therapy can help alleviate depression, but in some cases, it can be genetic, and it could just be the result of a chemical imbalance in the brain. Sometimes that imbalance can be bad enough that the things that should work don't work. That was the difference between me and the musicians and composers and all those people that I saw succeeding, or thought I saw succeeding. But it made me realize that there was this literal physical limitation in my brain that was keeping me from feeling better. After years of hard work, it's frustrating. I understand why someone might just at this point say, you know what, therapy doesn't work. It wasn't for me. I tried it. So I decided to try medication. And you know what? It does what it's supposed to. Medication makes the things that should work actually work. For me, this was the linchpin. This made everything way, way easier. You wouldn't believe how scared I was at first to try it. It's part of the reason why I was so resistant. It took my therapist like 6 months to convince me just to consider it an option. The crazy thing was I was actually afraid to not be depressed and not be anxious. And weirdly enough, and maybe like many of you, I thought, well, maybe I won't write good music. Maybe I won't make good art if I'm not in pain. Don't worry, that pain is still there, you're just better at managing it. But this also meant that I was actually writing more because I felt better. I just felt more okay. The things that I had spent years building, coping skills, coping mechanisms, understanding myself, and understanding the underlying causes of my insecurity and of my negative thought scripts. That all started to work. The emotional well-being piece started to come together after taking meds. Who'd have thunk? My brain wasn't as imbalanced anymore. It's like there was something literally pulling on my mental state. Think about a black hole or something, or a funnel, like a drain, and that drain is constantly open. And now meds just kind of closed that drain a little bit more, to the point where maybe it's a trickle. It's still there, but it's managed, or easier to manage. The power that those negative thoughts had over me dramatically lessened. To be clear, antidepressants, the medication that I tried, they don't make you feel happy all the time. They just made me feel okay with existing. Not all the time, but enough of the time to get myself into writing sessions way more often. I think it's also really worth noting here that I wouldn't have been so good at managing everything when I did start medication if I didn't have a couple of years in therapy to build up those skills beforehand. Medication is ultimately just one component in managing mental illness. We still have to actively work at it, but medication makes that work easier. At least it did for me. So there you have it. That's my mental health journey and how I got to where I am today. As you can tell, mental health is intricately connected to my ability to actually, actively write music. And I think this is true for a lot of us, many of us, most of us even, perhaps. I don't know. I didn't fix anything though. I still have bad days, bad weeks, bad months even. But I have tools that help me fight back. Tools that I think everybody should have. That's why I try to keep talking about it in the Just Write Music zone place thing. No pitch this week. If you resonated with anything that I said, leave a solidarity fist down in the comments. Oh, and hit that like button on the way down there. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I'm Avi from JustWriteMusic.com, and don't forget to be awesome.